Last chance for Hyatt, Hilton all-inclusives available on Certs, and Behind Mark's New York City pub crawl. All of that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
I finally feel like a human again.
Your voice says something different.
Yeah. Puberty.
So happy Tuesday, everyone. Mark, I know your voice is a little weak, but welcome back from New York City. Did you finally complete the crawl?
Yes, we got it done. We did it in somewhat decent time. I think we got to the last one like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., somewhere in there. So it wasn't too late. We were able to do it. I think it would have been 6 miles if we walked from the starting point to the ending point in a straight shot, but we probably walked closer to 10 or 11 miles when it was all said and done. We didn't really have like a mapped out plan. We knew a couple places we wanted to hit, and everything else was just, all right, find it as we go.
Well, that's cool. We'll talk about it later in the show, all the stops, all the bars, everything else. But I should point out that tomorrow is the big day, that at 9 a.m., is it Eastern time or Central time, the Hyatt devaluation takes effect, and all the new sad things that we've been talking about are taking effect. So have you booked any properties in preparation?
Surprisingly, I have not booked anything for myself. I don't really have any plans that need Hyatt. I have a lot of the travel booked out there that I can book. I'm booked through next year, basically, all through the entire year so far. I'm sure other trips will come up, but at this point, there's nothing until June opens for flights, and then I'll book there. So that would have been nice if I could have done that, because I'm sure I will stay in a Hyatt or two on that trip, but couldn't do it here. I did book a friend. They're taking their family to New York, so I ended up booking them into Thompson Central Park. It was crazy, like $800 a night cost, and maybe it was a little bit over 800, but the price was 29,000 Hyatt points, and it's not going up a category, but it's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be top priced. It would have been for that, so it would have gone up to 40,000 points. So we're talking just for their stay, 33,000 points they likely saved, which is more than like an extra night, and that's kind of insane to think about.
Yeah, a few years ago, that was Park Hyatt, New York. You got a free night there for 30,000 points. Of course, it's been a while since that was the case. I have a couple cruises coming up in the next year, but I don't have a ton of trips on the books where this would be good. So I kind of looked in Florida for our cruise in December, doing the Hyatt Centric there. You know, the cash price, the value on points is still not great even before it goes up. And I wish I had a cert to kind of burn, but I don't. But I put that down. At least we'll see. That's going from a category 4 to a category 5, but I got hit with the peak, so it was like 18,000 points. So, I mean, is it going to be, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like afterwards. Maybe it'll be 25,000 after that. Same thing for spring break next year, just in LA, but I don't have any like big trips where I need them. Obviously, I'm taking a trip in a week where I just booked these hotels before they go up. So messing around. I don't know if we'll have time to talk today, but next week we'll talk about what I ended up doing on my trip and some of the hotels and all of that sort of stuff for after the cruise. But yeah, not a ton. Not a ton. It's sad because I'm trying to like figure out, okay, where can I put these things down? And people know out there I'm not the best planner, but also we do have these cruises taking up a lot of our travel time. And so I don't have a lot of like big land-based vacations to use these on.
And I find myself the last couple of years, I just have booked a lot less Hyatt. So I'm not as focused on that. And then we've talked in the past about all these credits that we're getting. If it's the AFHR credit, if it's the Built credit for hotels, or if you have the Strata Elite and you have that credit, there's so many hotel credits, especially if you have multiples of some of these cards, that I'm focused on using those because those have expiration dates. You have to use those within a 6-month or 1 year period, something like that. And the Hyatt points don't, yeah, they get devalued, but they don't expire. So I'm not too worried about those. I use them when they make sense. But my focus every time I go to book is, all right, can I use one of these credits that we have? Otherwise, they're going to expire. Like the next stay I booked with a Delta credit, and I never used those in the past. But now I'm like, screw it, I'm using all these things.
Yeah, and it probably makes you a better traveler, better at all of this. But I am one of the people who's just sad that Hyatt, that easy solution, is sort of going away. Or at least, I mean, if it's still an easy solution if you have unlimited points and you don't really care about how much you're spending. But that's not going to be the case for most people. So we will see. But I was the last couple of days I've been trying to figure out what I could put. I have a trip to China in September, but we don't have the exact dates set. So I guess I'm happy that that's probably the one market that's not going to kill me, because that'll probably be the most nights that I have to book in a row this year.
Well, they're going down a category in a lot of China, but they'll probably be in that category. It's still going to be as expensive, and not more expensive than it used to be, but it will be a lot less painful, I think, compared to everywhere else.
Yeah, I'm not expecting huge increases. So even if I end up 1,000, 2,000 a night, most of these hotels are lower categories, but there are some Park Hyatts there which could swing wildly. And so maybe I should just put the Park Hyatt Suzhou on a date and just hope that that's the date that we end up going. I don't know, but let us know down in the comments, what hotels did you book? And it'll be interesting to go back in a few days and see what these hotels are actually pricing at.
I guess I'm just not even going to look at Park Hyatt Tokyo for our trip.
Yeah, it sucks because I do want to stay there. That's one I don't have like a date for Tokyo or anything like that. That's one I would probably throw down at 40,000 if I could find it. I want to stay there to see the renovations. They reopened it. Obviously, the Lost in Translation tie-ins. First time I stayed there, it was so cool because it looked just like Lost in Translation. Yeah, I mean, is it going to be worth 50 or 60,000 points a night? I don't know.
I don't know that anything. I mean, unless it's like aspirational, if that's like your favorite movie or something like that, then I could see it. But for the most part, I'll go to like a Hyatt Regency for 25,000 or 30,000, get 2 nights for the price of one.
I guess I can tell this story from the old days, but back when you would get the Hyatt credit card, if you had status, they would give you 2 free nights as a sign-up welcome offer, but you would get them in a suite if you had their diamond status at the time. And then you could just do a status match. So you would just do a status match, apply for the credit card, get 2 free nights in a suite. And we redeemed those at the Park Hyatt Tokyo way back when, 2014. And that was one of the more magical redemptions, because you're seeing like this hobby sort of come to life when you're staying in a $1,500 suite in the Lost in Translation movie. It was magical stuff.
I do miss that. I wonder if people kind of wish that offer would come back. I'm guessing they've been wishing it because the offer on the card hasn't been great since then. But a category 1 to 7 free night cert would be insanely valuable now. I couldn't even imagine. Like, they could probably give 1 as the sign up bonus and people would jump all over it.
The one crazy thing is they gave you the suite if you had status, but back then status, like diamond status, didn't give you upgrades to suites like Globalist does now. So a suite was kind of more special, I would say, than it is under the current program. But yeah, that was a sweet offer. And I should just bring up the lucky few people who there was a version of this offer that came out for like a day that gave like Globalist status for life. It was a typo and they got to apply for it and Hyatt gave it to them. So there's still people out there 10 years later rocking Globalist status off of a Hyatt credit card sign up.
Jerks.
I think that's about right. So this is an example from your friend's trip of how using different awards programs for the same flights can have different prices. And here I think you have British Airways, Alaska, and American all for this flight to LaGuardia. And yeah, go through exactly what's different and why people really should look at different programs for the same flights.
Yeah, so I thought this would be kind of fun because we do have quite a few viewers that come over from the Vegas show and aren't as into miles and points as some of the longer time listeners, or just people finding us along the way. And I think the most confusing thing when you're starting out is using partners to book flights and how that can offer better deals than you expect. So the friends that I have Ultimate Rewards points. That's where they kind of started. So I first looked at Avios and I was like, all right, British Airways used to be an amazing way to book American Airlines flights. Hasn't been great in a few years now, but I was just kind of curious, what's this going to price out at? So we have kind of a benchmark. And that was the first one at 54,000 miles, and that was for 4 people. When you say 4 people, it doesn't sound terrible. But then we go, all right, it's on American Airlines. I have an American Airlines miles. I could book it for them. They could transfer me Hyatt points or something like that, and we could do kind of like a trade or barter system that way. 36,000 miles if you use AA miles to book their own flight. While they're also partners with Alaska, oftentimes Alaska has the best prices. It's distance-based, so if you have a shorter flight, usually Alaska is going to be the best. Sometimes American is even down that low, but not all the time. And that was 18,000 Alaska miles to book the same 4 people. So we're talking 18 at the low, 54,000 at the high. That's a big difference. And that's why we encourage you to collect different types of miles and points, different airlines miles, or most importantly, transferable currencies. Because if you have points that transfer to each of these things, then you can take advantage of when the prices are the lowest.
Yeah, it's super interesting to me that they're all in like the same denomination. We got 18, 36, 54. So single, double, triple. And we were talking, it's just British Airways Avios used to be the cheap thing. Like those flights used to be 4,500 Avios, and it was distance based and it was the cheaper way to go. And it's interesting to see Alaska there. But just to reiterate, this is the same flight. The people are going to get the same seats and they're going to get to the same place on the same plane on the same day at the same time. It's just you could pay three different prices.
Yeah, and even sometimes if you're booking with a partner, you get into main cabin with all these basic economies. Other times, basic economy is more expensive than booking into main economy with partner airlines. Similar thing with like Virgin Atlantic and Delta. I used to always book Virgin Atlantic to fly Delta. Then they changed how they calculate things for distance. Even when I can, the random times I can find space, it's usually more expensive than even Delta charges, which is a shame. But there still are partnerships out there. It gets even bigger rewards for doing this type of booking when you get to international flights and things like that. But it just goes to show why we always stress transferable currencies, because you want to be able to move these points around. Just because you're an American Airlines hub or a Delta hub doesn't mean those programs are the best for the flights that you need to book. You know which one they end up going with?
No, I would hope the cheapest one. Guess not.
None of them. No, because they had Southwest points, which I didn't know until later. So I booked them on some Southwest flights.
And then he turned it into content, baby. He turned it into content.
Yeah, it never goes unused, right?
No, absolutely not. And that's a great example of just showing it all. And this is what we're doing. And there's tons of tools available. Maybe we need to do a better job of deep diving the tools and showing people how, Google Flights is, what's sad about going to Google Flights these days? There's no Spirit anymore. So the prices all seem higher.
I mean, there's still Frontier. You can still find
but
other crappy flights.
You just it sucks when you look at the Google Calendar and it just shows you these really cheap rates, and then you go and you realize it was Spirit, and then it's not quite that cheap. But there's all kinds of ways to do it and find these things. We should do a whole section on I don't know, best practices for searching and stuff like that. So we'll do that eventually.
Yeah, and speaking of Spirit, my best flight ever or best booking ever was when I went to the airport. I had to bring that up and to save the $20 per person each way, and I booked 4 people to fly from DTW Detroit into LaGuardia for a total price of like $110 for 4 people.
See, that makes all these options look so expensive in comparison.
Yeah, it does.
So one of the cool things over the years has been watching Hilton change, and they added their crazy, awesome free certs. And sometimes, when it started, I think most of the all-inclusives weren't included. And then over the years, they've been adding more of them. And we have a resource where you have kind of updated it to say, okay, here's all of the SLH plus all of the all-inclusive, or I guess the SLH with all-inclusive plus the regular all-inclusives, everything you can use a cert with Hilton on, and a lot of value there. We did see a recent data point that some of these properties might be charging for kids now.
Yeah, and when we first did this, I think there's only 5 Hilton all-inclusive properties on the list. A lot of them were on the exclusion list, which a lot of people probably don't even know that Hilton has a free night certificate exclusions list. And I'll write about that in the next couple weeks and break down all of those for you. But I didn't find any of the all-inclusives on that list. So that's cool. They've moved them all off, and then they've added a whole bunch since then. So we have a decent chunk of Hilton-owned all-inclusive properties that you can book these at. And then they added SLH. That's harder to search. There might be even more out there that are considered all-inclusive that you can book into, but I kind of did some digging, and these are the ones I could locate. Just double check with the hotel, because it might be like you're booking into it, but you don't get the food. I think most of them you do get like the food and drinks, or Riverview Ranch. I think you only get select wine, but you do get the food, stuff like that. But there are a couple in the U.S., and they're in like Montana and Wyoming, and you stay in like this cabin, or you pretend that you're on Yellowstone or whatever. You get all your meals cooked. Looks really cool. And then they have them all around the world. And those are all because of SLH. You might have been able to book them before with Hyatt points until they lost that partnership. But I think there's been more added to Hilton than there were with Hyatt. So it's kind of cool to see that expansion. But yeah, back in the day, you could book up until a few months ago, I believe you could book with a free night cert and you could have 4 people in a room and you wouldn't get charged extra. And if you've ever tried to book like a Hyatt all inclusive, when you add 4 people to the room, usually they are add a cash fee for the extra people per night, which really kind of adds up. And that's why on our upcoming trip, when we're staying at one, I'm just booking 2 rooms. It was just cheaper. It was a better deal. Plus, we each get our own space, bed, all that stuff. If it's a connecting room, even better. But that's a big loss here for people that have families and go to Hilton all inclusives.
Yeah, Hyatt used to give you kids for free too, so it stinks, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, all inclusive does include the food and drink are a big part of that, and the room is.
But
But I
kids
saw,
don't drink booze. It's not that expensive.
yeah, and they usually charge what 90, $100 a day. It depends on the hotel,
Yeah.
but I saw the one I saw from Hilton was $90 a day. Uh, yeah, I mean, just like anything, the times they are changing, things aren't as good as they were, but it's neat to see a lot of the SLH. Those are really nice properties.
Yeah, they're unique and they're more boutique than a Hilton, and they give you a different experience than you would get from a Hilton branded hotel, I believe. And there's so many of them out there. It's just I wish they would make them more integrated, easier to search, easier to figure out where these all inclusive work. Because there is a website or a page on Hilton.com that shows you like here's all our all inclusives, and they don't list any of the SLH. So you have to go through and like manually search those and go to Reddit for data points, all that type of stuff.
In a second, we're going to talk about Mark's New York City bar crawl. But first, this episode is brought to you by Melio, our preferred partner. They have their $200 cashback offer after making a $500 payment. The easiest way to hit that spend to grab another welcome offer.
Yeah, if you sign up for small business credit cards, then you should be able to get this offer as well. You have to make a business to business payment, but you make a $500 payment, whether that's your cell phone bill, your utility bill, your gardener, whatever it is, you get $200 back. That's 40% off that payment. Plus, you get access to this setup that you can make payments to things that normally don't take credit cards. So you can hit more sign up bonuses along the way. That's a big payout. You're getting 10%, 15, 20% back on that spend. So you're okay with taking on that extra fee if it adds another sign up bonus you couldn't get otherwise.
Exactly. Grab that extra bonus, $200 cash back, scan the QR code, click the link down in the description. Thanks to Melio, and thanks to everybody out there who signed up for Melio through this offer.
It really does help support the channel. So thank you to everybody that's used it.
All right, Mark, you sent a bunch of pictures and videos before the show, so I know you did a lot on your pub crawl of New York City, and I'm glad to see that you finally finished it.
Yeah, this has been something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and we attempted it 3 years ago and got distracted, which we talked about, and never finished it. So I was like, "Hey, I'm going back to do this. Do you guys want to come back?" And we added a whole bunch of other people. Danny, the deal guru, even showed up, which he showed up last time too, halfway through, and kind of hit the finishing notes with us, which was cool. But I'm so glad we did it. Last time we started from the bottom, we started from Battery Park and worked our way up. This time we said, let's do it opposite. Let's start in Central Park and work our way down, which I think was better because Financial District's kind of the most fun place I like to go, hit like small pubs, bars, things like that. So it was a great place to really like have the finishing touch or the final party.
Yeah, so you started in the Central Park Conservatory. It's a calming way to sort of start the day.
Yeah, we were trying to get out there at 10 a.m., but we didn't make it till I think like 10:30ish. And we got up there and there's like a little grab and go pastry type shop, but they also have beer and they have mimosas and they have a boozy coffee drink and stuff like that. So I thought, hey, this is my favorite place in New York City, sitting there watching the sailboats go around and race each other. And if you've seen the Stuart Little movie, then you know what I'm talking about, even if you haven't been there. But it's just like contrast, like water, boats, trees, and then skyscrapers coming through the sky, which is so cool to see. And we started with a mimosa. It just sat there, kind of take it in. There's people doing like meditation behind us with calming music. It was the perfect start to the day.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go to much crazier places. But next stop, Bryant Park. Bryant Park is such a cool park. I see this as your stop number 2. And what a nice place to just hang out. Usually just having a coffee or something myself. But I love that park for some reason.
I think it's a better people watching park versus Central Park, and it's more compact, and they have restaurants and little grab and go shops all like around the entire green space area. So I know I wanted that to be our Midtown. It's like the very southern end of Midtown. So that was probably our furthest walk was from Central Park because we were a decent chunk of the way up into Central Park, all the way down to Bryant Park. And we stopped there. We went to their little bar setup restaurant and had a drink and just kind of took it in. And you're in the shade. It's such a beautiful park. If you haven't spent time there, definitely put it on your list when you're in New York.
Yeah, I second that. I've had many a good afternoon just sort of sitting there, people watching, taking a rest when you're walking through Manhattan. It's always so exhausting. So that's one of my favorite places. But let's get into the meat of it. The Garment District, what's next?
Yeah, we ended up going to Moxy. They have a rooftop bar there. They actually have two. One's like a camp thing with a spinning Ferris wheel that you can sit on, and the other side's a little bit more just rooftop bar with a view of the Empire State Building. A couple of the people that were with us were staying there, and they had brought their dog to Central Park and to Bryant Park, so they wanted to drop the dog off for the rest of the walk. But it was perfect. Like that rooftop bar was beautiful, and it was kind of cool, a little kitschy. But a lot of people that aren't staying at Moxy do go there, and it's not a part of the hotel. You can't bill back to your room. But it was a great stop and probably the best rooftop bar that we saw. Well, the only on this trip, but best I've seen in New York.
New York and rooftop bars aren't usually synonymous. Maybe are rooftop bars more of a modern thing? I don't know. I just don't see a lot of them there.
I think a lot of hotels have started to get outdoor rooftop space, but a lot of times, like when I stayed at Virgin and we went to the Riff Raff Club, which they said was rooftop bar, but it was all enclosed in glass. I feel like it's more like that, like top story bar versus actual rooftop.
So next stop, Chelsea. That Walters place looks pretty cool.
Yeah, this was the quintessential New York kind of just local hangout bar, nothing special to it. They had front windows that were open. We were walking by, we're like, hey, that looks like a cool place to go in. And you could tell it was all regulars just with their belly up to the bar. A lot of British people sitting in there watching football or soccer in the morning, having their pint. So we had one there. And it was a couple people's favorite spot, even though it was the most low key or nondescript of all the bars.
Those footballers, they don't mess around. It's the end of the English. I've been told that Arsenal could win the Premier League. I was told that this morning, so I fit right in.
Yeah, I don't know if that's impressive or not, but
So we're walking down into the Flatiron area. Did you see the Flatiron building? I heard the scaffolding is coming down.
we did not actually walk by the Flatiron building. We just kind of got into the district, and we were picking and choosing between bars, and it was a little bit tougher to find one because they were all pretty busy and a bit smaller. As the further south we worked, the more packed it got, and that was also because it was later in the day. It was a beautiful day. It was like mid 70s, high 70s, sunshine. So as we worked our way, and I think more people hang out in the southern tip these days. They have a lot more outdoor space, or at least that's what I was gathering as we went through this. But we ended up going to Ivory Peacock, which actually was a very nice cocktail, by far the nicest of the bars we went into. It felt more like a date night, appetizers, have a fine dining cocktail type of thing. They even have this back bar that's U-shaped that looked beautiful. It wasn't quite open yet when we walked in, so we weren't able to sit there. But we grabbed a table, had a drink. If you're looking for a higher end, classy bar in the Flatiron District, I think this is a good one.
So where are we at on the map at this point, Mark?
Oh, okay. You want me to pull out the map? Here we go.
Yeah, show us the map
Here's the
where
map.
we've gone and where we
like,
are.
We're like down here. We're like halfway through.
All right, so
we're a little bit past halfway, and then we have from this one to the next one. We were kind of like Flatiron, and then we went to the southern part of Greenwich. So we had a bit of a walk there.
Yeah, Greenwich is such a lovely area of New York City. And I think that's one of the takeaways here is obviously walking New York City, you're not reinventing the wheel here, but it is one of the just neater things to do, just to spend a day kind of traversing the city. So in Greenwich, I see you went to this place called Pub Key. The sign says pancakes, add birthday for $1, and it looks like a bar that's down in a basement.
Yeah, no idea what this is, what that meant. We didn't ask about it, but I noticed that on the sign too. It was weird. But I do feel like this is kind of like a Greenwich thing, because the last time we tried to do this, we went to a bar called Down the Hatch, which was also in a basement, and it was like a block away. So I wish we would have kind of gone back there to reminisce. We did end up hitting two spots that were the same as last time. One was planned, one was unplanned. But this was a cool spot. We went downstairs. It was a little bit warm. The door was open. They didn't really have air conditioning. But if you walked to the back area, they had like this booth section that was cool. And then in the back, it looked like somebody's attic, and it was air conditioned back there. Cool tables. I'm guessing they have like good music there at night. Just such a fun little local pub. It was one of the places we had a rule that if the majority of the people walking decided they wanted to stay for a second, then we would stay for a second. This is one of the places that we decided to stay for a second. Bartender was amazing. Place was great. The prices weren't terrible. So I think Greenwich and Tribeca were probably my two favorite areas. I would hang out in Financial District, but I probably want to live in Greenwich or Tribeca.
What about SoHo? That was the next stop. It's like all fancy and fancier people.
So we originally tried to go to a place called Toad Hall in Soho, which is more like a authentic divey type local pub. And we walked in and it was so hot in there and it just smelled like feet. I don't know if it was people sweating in there. And I'm like, I don't think we want to all come in there and crowd it. And we had a group of like 11 at this point. So we ended
You
up
don't need
going
more
one of
feet,
the
right? You can
No.
only have so many feet.
Yeah, we don't need to get even sweatier smelling in there. So we ended up going. One of the guys with us lived in Manhattan. It was like, hey, let's go to this Gilligan's. It's kind of pretentious, a little bit baggy, but it's outdoors. It'll be cool. And it's kind of themed like Gilligan's Island. It's supposed to be kind of nautical feeling, but it was packed. And we just had our drink. Half the group had the drink really quick and split off. And the other half stayed for a little bit. We were just like, we were too crowded. So I was part of the group that split off and moved on. I mean, it would be a really cool place if it wasn't the first nice day of the year and everybody wanted to be there. But it was a bit much for us while we were there.
Down to the nitty gritty, the last few. So how are you feeling at this point? How is the group? Is everybody, are they drunk yet?
Not really. I mean, we're taking quite a while. We started at 10:30. It's probably like 5:30 or 6. So we're doing like one drink an hour because there's so much walking. There's 20 minutes of walking in between each bar. And we were even thinking of like detouring over to do Chinatown and Little Italy. It would just add so much more walking and so much more time that we didn't do it. So if I ever did this again, maybe I'd go more toward the eastern side of things and switch it up a little bit in that way. But we were pretty good. I think people got maybe a little bit of buzz at Pub Key because that was a place we had second and it was back to back. But by now you're outside sweating, walking. Not too bad. It really didn't kick off until we got to the end.
So stop number 8, Nancy's Whiskey Pub in Tribeca, a dark, kind of moody place.
This place is awesome. If you're in Tribeca or anywhere around it and you love like an old whiskey tavern type of place that feels like it's been there forever, this is your spot. And we ended up hitting it last time too. And we didn't plan to go here. We were just walking down the same road. And we're like, hey, isn't this where we were last year or 3 years ago? And I said, yeah. And it was something we had talked about earlier. I was like, I really like that one Nancy's place. But we didn't map it out or plan to go back there. So it was cool that we ended up running into it again. Just dark and moody and old wood everywhere. They have shuffleboard with the name on it and an upstairs that just feels what you expect New York like 40 years ago to be like. Yeah, and funny enough, Nancy's was the only place I forgot to take a video of inside. I got like a quick video on the outside, but luckily we had been there in 2023, so I had some good pictures from it that you can show. But everywhere else, I remembered, but somehow this place, I was just too into it.
A few more years, Connor can go with you and take all the videos, and then we don't have to worry about getting nice long videos.
I was actually thinking of doing a similar type of like walk with him, but hit pizza places.
I think as a kid, that would be such an over-the-top sort of experience. So this doesn't have to be bars. I think that's sort of the case. New York City, an incredible city to do anything like this, no matter drinking, eating, whatever it is, just so much life in that city.
Yeah, I think you could do it just parks. Like we started Central Park, went to Bryant Park, you go to Washington Square Park, like, and then all the little local parks. I think that would be a really cool walk to do as well.
So now into FiDi. I've been told that's the financial district. That's how the cool kids write it nowadays. I've always just called it the financial district.
FiDi.
FiDi. Oh, see, I'm not cool enough. I do not belong with the cool kids at FiDi. But White Horse Tavern. This place looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is my favorite dive bar in the city, and we did it last time as well. Every time I go to New York, if I'm ever in the financial district area, I always make a point to go here. I like going to Stone Street too. Francis Tavern's another great one down there. There's just so many cool bars in this area, and it's always been overlooked as like people didn't want to live there 15, 20 years ago. I think that's changed quite a bit now, but it does have a great bar scene. There was quite a bit, a long walk between these two because we were like north end of Tribeca, and then we went down to almost Battery Park Southern Tip. So we walked in there. This is where the rest of the group kind of met up with us. They went to War and Peace, I think it was called. for their Tribeca bar, which they thought was really great. They had their best cocktail there. So we finished it off here. There's always great food here: chicken wings, mozzarella sticks, like just bar food. The kitchen's like right across from the bar, so you're watching them cook while you're standing there, and it's just such a fun spot. It's actually 3 stories. It doesn't look like it is. They don't normally have the second or third story open, but I have snuck up there before and gotten some shots of that. I don't know if I can find that for this, but yeah, the main entrance of the bar, just such a cool thing. So we had a couple drinks there, really celebrated, and then we went to maybe the most famous bar in that area now, kind of really gotten a cult following, or maybe it's a popular following now, the Dead Rabbit. A lot of people love it. It's such a cool place in there. If you like Irish coffee, they do a phenomenal Irish coffee.
Have you talked about the Dead Rabbit before, or have I just randomly heard about this place? Because I feel like I know it. I was going to ask you about that, and now that you're saying it's so well known, maybe I've just seen a video of it or something. It looks like a really neat place.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been there, and I've heard about it for a couple of years now, people talking about it. And then we were talking to some Midwesterners that live in the area now at Central Park, and they said, oh, in the financial district, you got to go to the Dead Rabbit. And there was another like chicken place. I forget the name of it, but it was this weird, they had weird drinks that I don't know. I can't even explain it. Maybe I can come up with it for next episode.
They had weird drinks. Okay.
It was like weird, like things you wouldn't expect, like pizza, like the pizza shot or something that's supposed to taste like pizza. I don't know. They were just talking about it, and I'm sure somebody in the comments that either has been to Manhattan or lives there and knows this type of thing will be able to come up with it. But it sounded like a cool place, but it sounded busy. But we ended up at the Dead Rabbit. The other big selling feature was that it's an inKind bar, and it's an actual bar, but you can use inKind there. Dan the Deal Guru stepped up, paid a big tab for us with his inKind money. So thank you to him for that.
So yeah, if you want inKind for yourself, I'll throw my QR code down screen. I think it is neat, and I'm this sign up for inKind if you don't or want to or not. But it is always neat when you have these programs, you're kind of building a balance, and then you stumble into a place you were going to anyway that you can use that funny money at.
Yeah, if you're getting like 30% off, 40% off in New York, that's huge. It makes the drinks kind of like Midwestern prices when you bake in that discount. And he was like, I've always used this at restaurants. I didn't even know you could use it at bars. And what we did was we just told them before, hey, we want to use inKind. They would hold it with a credit card, but before they ran it, they would bring it back over and you would punch it in on your inKind app, and they would be like, okay, all good. It shows that you paid.
Yeah, there's a ton of bars in Vegas doing it now too. So hopefully more of that and spreading there. So what were the final takeaways? It seems like it was a successful, no sidetrack. You finished it. Are you going to do it again in a few years?
I don't think so. Unless I don't think I'll do the pub crawl. I'm getting old, and this was kind of like the last hurrah for me in terms of that. Like, I would love to do the walk again and just walk different neighborhoods. Like I said, on the east side, maybe we'll do like a pizza one with my son. But I really enjoyed just strolling through the city, seeing the different neighborhoods, hanging out with friends, and kind of going from pub to pub. Maybe I wouldn't be like so strict on, all right, we're in this area. Maybe just do it and maybe hit 5 pubs along the way, but do the walk, something like that. I don't think you have to focus so much on it, but I think the walk is well worth it.
So let us know what you guys think about. Have you been to any of these bars in New York City? Have you done something similar? What are your favorite places to go? And do you pronounce it FiDi? Like, I don't know why I went to the Spanish pronunciation instead of English. I
think that's what you think, like SoHo, FiDi. You're just like, yeah.
Well, but it's like Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi in Spanish. I think that's where I kind of put it all in my head. I don't know. I lost my New York cred, but I never had any in the first place. But let us know about that. Hilton, free night, Certs, Hyatt, what are you booking? What did you book before the end? Is this the end? I don't know. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll be back in a couple days with all the miles and points news. And next week, I'll talk all about what I actually did on my last minute changes to my trip. All of that coming up. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Can't wait for the comments saying they don't want to travel with you. Have a good week,
I don't
everybody.
want to travel with me.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your